Mike, we're live.
Hello. Okay, good. Hello. Yes. Here we are in technological land.
Technological land. You're a bit of a technophobe.
Yeah, not a phobe. It creates a lot of problems for people.
Okay.
And we've normalised being overstimulated. So I limit what I do. My phone goes off, and there's no ringtone on my phone, so I answer it when I choose to. And I generally, word of mouth is how I've worked for decades. So
Brilliant.
I generally keep it that way, just not to get too confused with it, and also not to buy into the overload of people, because we've normalised just being stimulated, and it's created a lot of problems.
I'd like to get back to that, but first, I just want to give everyone a bit of an introduction to what you do. So if they go on your Facebook page, they'll see yoga instructor and psychotherapist.
Yeah.
Can you go into a bit more detail on what you provide as your business?
I see myself more as a coach. For 30 years, I've been working as a psychotherapist, counsellor, whatever you want to call it. I prefer the word coach. I like to coach people. What I'm coaching them actually is what they already know. They just don't know that they know it. So this is why we have a light bulb moment. A light bulb moment is when we tap into something that we know. We know it in what I would call our heart base, or maybe I'd call it our pace. That part of you that isn't swamped by thinking. And I coach people on how to get there, and then how to follow their path. We all have a path. It's unique to us. But nowhere are we told this. So most people are sort of flailing around, quite often rehearsing on a daily basis what doesn't work, wondering why their life's not working. And I'm always pointing out that, okay, you're going to get good at what you rehearse. So I strongly recommend you rehearse what works. And to know what works, you have to understand the relationship with yourself. So my coaching is to coach people on how to relate to themselves. Yeah, started off 30 years ago, working really with the intricacies of the thinking mind, which I've got so much respect for, but has developed into allowing people to relate to their thinking rather than be a victim of their thinking. So most people, when people come to see me, they're either doing what they don't want to be doing, or thinking what they don't want to be thinking, or feeling what they don't want to be feeling. And I point out the fact that there's two parts. There's the part thinking it, doing it, feeling it, and then there's the part that you can witness those things, the part that has brought you to me, the part that knows that that's not you. And that part is you. The difficulty is we cannot word it. If I said to you, word who you are, have a go. And there you go. You cannot word who you are, and there's the problem. Because you cannot word who you are, your thinking cannot work with who you are, because thinking only works with words. So then thinking just lets go, and you end up at the back of the queue. Thinking will then try and find you in someone else or something else, or out there, the outside world, which also isn't real, but we can go into that later. How the outside world is just an extension of us on the inside. Basic quantum physics will tell you that an observer is needed to create an event.
Right, okay.
So to understand the inside is important, and that's what I coach people on. So yeah, therapy first, then moved into more of a coaching process. I've still got the therapy skills that if people get stuck, I can work with that, but I much prefer to coach them. It's far better to teach a man how to fish than give him a fish. So that's what I do. And then back, 15 years ago, it started to move into yoga. I was, as I developed or worked on the tools of how to teach people, I came across a fantastic yoga teacher who teaches what I would call real yoga. And I was very passionate about this, so I then threw myself into teacher training and then advanced teacher training of real yoga, which is very different to what people think yoga is.
We've had this conversation before, because the only yoga I've seen is sort of like it's almost like a bit of a fad that came about where it's like the mum drops her kid to school and goes off and meets her friends, does a bit of yoga for an hour, which you politely showed me what real yoga is. And after seeing what it was and how it is actually to train your mind to sort of, well, you'll be able to explain it better than I can.
It's actually explained brilliantly in Patanjali's aphorisms. Patanjali was the man that brought together real yoga about 2,000 years ago. And he created a whole bunch of sutras. But the first three, which I quote to people because it explains it beautifully. So the first one is Hatha Yoga Nushasanam, which basically means now the exposition of yoga. So I will now expose to you what yoga is. The second one is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which means yoga is the cessation of the turnings of the mind. And then the third one is Tada Drastu Svarupiyavasthanam, which means then the seer abides in their true nature. That's what yoga is. It's the ability to not get lost in your mind and then to abide in your true nature. Now, what the yogis understood is that the physical body is an extension of the mind. And we now know this in the West, that when we get emotional stuff going on and we don't deal with it, it'll drop down into our body. We know this, the pain body. And so, people come to see me with emotional stuff, but they've always got physical stuff going on. When they start clearing the emotional stuff, then the physical stuff starts going. So the yogis knew this, so then they brought in the asanas, the postures. And that's only the third step of 8 steps of yoga. So yoga, to understand what yoga is, there are 8 steps to it, and they're all mastery steps. The first step are called the yamas, mastery of outer conduct. The second step is the niyamas, mastery of inner conduct. The third step, asana, which is mastery of posture. The fourth step is pranayama, breath work, which is mastery of the physical body, posture, as well as the energy body, because we've all got an energy body. We know this. Oh, I'm on a high today. I mean, I'm vibrating at a high energetic level. Oh, I feel really low. Then my vibration is low. That's the energy body. So that's pranayama, breath work. Allows us to work with the physical body and the energy body. The fifth one, pratyahara, which is the inversion of our senses, which is important. Again, I coach people on how to do this. Turn your senses inward. When I work with people, I get them to focus on their breath and then come away from thinking. Their attention gets turned inwards. That's pratyahara. And this is how to master the energy body and the mental and emotional body. The sixth step of yoga is dharana, which is how to learn concentration, one point at attention, concentration and put full-on attention, massively missing in our culture because our thinking has shattered and scattered our emotions. One of the reasons why ADHD and ADD are prevalent is that we are completely and utterly constantly training our mind and working with our mind on how to become distracted. We have to regain dharana, one point at attention. So that's the sixth step. The seventh step of yoga is dhyana, which is meditation. And then the eighth step of yoga is samadhi, which means integration. It's the ability to have all your bodies in alignment. And that's mastery of the bliss body. So we have the 5 bodies there, mastery of the physical body, mastery of the energy body, mastery of the mental, emotional body. We also have a mastery of the what we call the wisdom body. That's we might know it as the intuitive body. And then that'll give you glimpses as you move into mastery of the bliss body. And the bliss body is where nature sits. That's why the birds are singing, and that's why the squirrels are jumping around in the trees. You won't find a depressed squirrel out there. And that's also where young children are. Young children up to about the age of 4 or 5, they're in the bliss body. That's why no parent has had to teach their child to laugh. We have an innate ability to laugh. Children between 200 and 300 times a day. And that's them in the bliss body. That's what I teach.
Very, very well explained. I mean, it's just, this is why after the first time I came to you with my own issues, it seemed to resolve that area that I came to you with, and I never had to come back to you with those same issues, because you go into this amazing detail, and it's almost, I wouldn't say it's like hypnotic, but the way you speak about it, there's so much passion and knowledge behind it. You really just feel like you're in a trusting environment, that everything you're being told is only for your benefit.
Well, what I told you is what you already knew. You just went to where you knew it, and that's where you get that, and that's why you can turn things around pretty quickly. And that's what I love about it, is that you can, by understanding this and developing a practice of this, you can realize that you are the creator of your world completely, more than we realize.
The 8 steps, do you have to do them in chronological order?
They are worked in chronological order. In other words, the yamas and the niyamas are they're rules, basically 5 rules of yamas, mastery of the outer conduct, and 5 rules of niyamas, mastery of the inner contact. So they're just rules of how to live our life. If you want me to go through them, I can do quite happily, but they are the rules. Then you get to the working through the bodies. Well, the bodies do tend to work in a hierarchical process. So the bliss body is the top. If you work on the chakra point, you're going to work up here. The physical body is the bottom. If you work on the chakra point down here, your root chakra is more down to the lower vibration. So the only reason they work in order is because of the vibration level.
Okay.
So you work up through the vibrations.
So what exactly is a chakra? A chakra?
Chakra. Again, now when I came into this understanding, I needed to make sense of it, because I'm aware that in the West, we tend to sometimes believe nonsense and get caught up in what I call the fluffy pink stuff, where, I'm working on this chakra. Hang on, let's just understand what it is. Right. Chakra in Sanskrit means circle. That's what it means. And what the yogis understood, and how they understood it, is they put a lot of attention in. Whereas we in the West were busy going out, so we've developed our outside world, going into machines and computers and the Industrial Revolution. We've put our attention there, which is fine. They actually went into the inside world, and they did all the incredible science. Actually, real yoga is a science, and they understood this process. So they understood that we have 7 circles now. To understand this on the Western level is really interesting, because each one of these chakras, which is a circle of energy, correlates to the hormonal center or the glandular center at the physical level. And then it begins to make sense. So the first chakra, which is called the root chakra, this will correspond to your sexual hormones. So again, quite a base level of understanding, very physical. And this also then corresponds to base level of creativity. So it's procreation and creativity. So it comes back with our creative element as well at the energetic level, but also at the physical level, it's procreation, sex hormones. So that's called the Muladhara chakra. You then move up to the next one, which is the Swadhisthana, the circle. Now this will correspond to your digestive and your pancreatic hormones. So we call this the superior mesenteric plexus. And for this is about digestion, what we hold on to and what we let go of, what we hold on to. And at the energetic level, it's to do with social structures, what we hold on to, what we let go of. So it's the same thing at the physical level, at the hormonal level, but also at the energetic level. So that's the first 2 chakras. The third chakra is known as the solar plexus. This is the Manipura chakra. And here we have the adrenal glands, adrenaline, fight, freeze, flight. This is the survival process. But at the energetic level, this is the revival process. This is about how we thrive. So it's important to actually work and have these in balance. It's all about balancing our chakras and balancing our energetic process. You then move up from here into your heart chakra, which is your it's called your Anahata chakra, but it's your thymus gland. It's where it's the gland for our immunity and our growth, the thymus gland. And at the energetic level, it's community. It's our heart base. It's how we give. It's how we commune. Then you've got your throat chakra, which is this is the thyroid gland, which is to do with your metabolism and your vocalism. So it's about how we vocalize, how we symbolize things at the energetic level, how we metabolize, which is a form of digestion. How we metabolize our system needs to be in balance. Come up to your third eye chakra, which is your Ajna chakra. And this is to do with your pineal gland. Your pineal gland, sometimes called the God gland, actually. The pineal gland is it's the only gland that gives out light. Photons can be emitted from here. It's got crystals in there, we now know, and it tunes in. It's a tuning gland. It tunes into different planes, astral planes, different planes of existence. And this is why it's very, very revered within the system of people who work in the spiritual realm. And then you move up to Sahasrara, your top chakra, and this is your pituitary gland, which is the master gland. It's the one that actually makes sure that all the others are working together. So these chakras work on the glandular level, but they also work on the energetic level too. So once we understand that each one corresponds to our glandular system and the importance of the balance within our glandular system, we can then understand, so behind everything physical, all that physical is a low vibration of energy. If we go behind that, there's a higher vibration of energy that it came from. And that's what the chakras are.
So you mentioned how important it is for your chakras to be in balance.
Yeah.
What would put them out, and then how would you go about rectifying that?
Well, lifestyle, number one. Thinking mind. So once you get confused, you become detached. Our thinking will detach us from who we are. Again, we cannot word who we are, but we can feel who we are. If you're passionate about something, there's a drive, there's a connection. That is an extension of who you are. You cannot word it, but you can express it, you can feel it. When we go still and when we go quiet, so we come away from the distraction, we come away from the scattering and the shattering of the thinking mind, we then can feel who we are. And by becoming still, you begin to regain balance. With yoga, if you apply the 8 steps of yoga, you will balance them all anyway. With the breath work, the energetic body, with the physical asana, the physical body, meditation, as you begin to go into the wisdom body, the whole process of that will actually balance them. But in our life, because the problem with modern science as such, we think that if we cannot see it, then it's not there. And I'm always pointing out to the fact that this room is full of Radio 4. And people look at me oddly and say, what do you mean? So this room is full of Radio 4. Is it? It is. All that I've got to do is I've got to get the right instrument, a radio, and then tune into the right frequency, and there it is.
Right.
Well, it's not in the radio. It's all around. It's just the right instrument and the right frequency.
So is that an analogy of how we perceive the outside world?
That's the analogy of who we are. We are both. We are transmitters and receivers.
Right. Okay.
We are both those. We transmit and we receive. And the clearer our balance is, the clearer our receiving and transmitting is. But we are always, we are surrounded by an energetic process that we tap into and we add to if we're balanced. If we're not balanced, then the energy around us will become, well, we might call it dark. It becomes low vibration. So if you ever hang around people who are depressed, you come away, you're going to feel that, because your system has been dragged down into that level because of the energetic process around them as well. So it's all mastered on the inside, what I would call by bringing our vibration up. And again, these words are used generally, but they're not generally understood.
When you hear people use words like that hear it for the first time, they almost think you're just talking a bit crazy speak.
That's why it needs to be proved. That's why I relate it to, everyone understands the hormones and the importance of balancing our hormonal process. You know, any woman knows that the hormonal process can completely upset their world once a month, completely turn everything on the head. That's just hormones. That's what they do. They will distort and they will amplify. That's what they would do. Get them in balance. They are incredible, miraculous molecules is what they are. But they've got to be in balance. And it's just like anything. I mean, what is the universe? The universe is just balance. That's all it's doing. And we're sat on a rock at the moment as I'm talking to you. I'm sat on a rock spinning at 1,000 miles an hour on its axis, not upright, at an angle of 33 degrees. And I'm spinning round this sun, this star, at 67,000 miles an hour. Yeah, I can drop a feather. Perfect balance. Because nature works in perfect balance. It's always moving us back towards perfect balance. What's global warming? It's just nature saying, okay, you're going to heat it up. Guess what? All that heat, what's the antidote to that? Water. I'm just going to cool it all down. That's all it's doing. It's just bringing balance in. It's just going to flood everything and cool it down. That's what it's going to do.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, and that's as above, so below. And everything has an opposite, by the way, except for one thing. But everything else has an opposite.
What's the one thing?
So up exists because of down, in because of out, hot because of cold, male because of female, black because of white, heavy because of light. The one thing that has no opposite, and when I say it, you're going to jump to an opposite, but I will define why it's not an opposite.
Okay.
I always say that the Beatles got it right. bit of a musician, me. So the Beatles got it right. The only thing that doesn't have an opposite, which is why it's so incredibly powerful, is love. No, hate is the opposite of like.
Okay.
So love is an unconditional process. It has no opposite, which is why it is the antidote to everything. And this is, if you base down the core of any spiritual process, it says exactly the same thing. So these people that over the millennia went inside and discovered that the antidote to everything is love.
I can see that.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Well played, dude.
Yeah. You mentioned the pineal gland. Now, I've heard the pineal gland before, and I've heard a lot of people... Have you heard of Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Joe Rogan talk about it a lot in relation to... I believe it was in rats that they've seen it to excrete dimethyltryptamine.
There's amazing things. Yeah. It's well, the body is an amazing thing. It's a chemistry set. This is really, we live in a chemistry set, and all that chemicals are different vibrations in the physical realm. That's all they are, and they transmutate. So yes, we can transmutate different things through working with what's called the weak nuclear force within our system. We can transmutate elements. So yeah, we can do that. The pineal gland is more, again, I would liken it. I find it funny that when we first had radio, what we created first was called a crystal set, which was a crystal that we used to tune in, and that's what we got. We got calcite crystals in there, and it tunes in, and it works. It works on pressure in order to change things. So it's a it's quite a fine-tuned process of the pineal gland.
Well, I've heard theories about that the pineal gland releases DMT when we are dying, which is like the near-death experiences that people have. I'm not sure if you've had anyone with experiences.
Oh, many.
You've had many, have you?
Yeah.
Is that working with or just yourself?
That's working with.
Really?
Yeah.
And are they sort of things that once they experience that, is there like an awakening after their experience?
There's the potential of an awakening, depending on the level of awareness that person has. It offers them the potential to realise that once you let go of life, you come into who you are, which is pure bliss. It's the bliss body, fundamentally.
Okay.
Yeah, I always say that, it's where we were before we were born and where we go after we pass is the same place. But again, the difficulty is you cannot word it and you cannot understand it with a normal human mind, because it's a timeless and spaceless place. And thinking cannot understand timeless, and thinking cannot understand spaceless.
It's unrational.
It's beyond thinking capacity.
Yeah.
I think, in the same way that our thinking mind cannot understand infinite,
Sure.
Because it'll say, well, obviously, where does infinite come from? Well, no, it's infinite. Where does it go to? No, it's infinite. So, we are limited. The thinking mind is limited in its capacity to understand. This is why we have problems, understanding pre-death and post-life and all this sort of stuff.
I'm not sure, you probably do remember, but you spoke to me and gave me an example on how thinking aren't my thoughts. And I think that it's something that I still have pop into my head every now and again, and I have to remind myself of that.
Right. We do.
And the initial example you gave me was almost like a aha moment. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you mind sharing that example?
No, not at all. So what I do, I say to people, the two parts. So people come to see me because they're doing what they don't want to be doing, thinking what they don't want to be thinking, or feeling what they don't want to be feeling. And people can say, yep, I've got all three of those. Is that a problem? No, because that's definitely what thinking will generally do, because thinking has three needs, fundamentally. And then there's another part that brings them to me that says, yeah, but that's not me. I don't want to be thinking that. I don't want to be feeling this. I don't want to be doing that. So there's the two parts. Right. Now, we have to prove first that we are not the thinking mind, because most people do think they are their thoughts, which you're not, and it's easy to prove. This is how we prove it. So, in your head, say the word yes 3 times. So, in your head, not out loud, in your head, say the word yes 3 times. And then I say, are you aware that you just said the word yes 3 times in your head? So there's a listener in there. Didn't say it out loud, but you're aware you did say it. So there's a listener in there. You're able to witness the yeses. That is proof you're not your thoughts. Because if you can witness them, you're not them. You can't be.
Do you have an awakening with a lot of people you say that to?
Yeah. People often go quiet and then go, generally, I've never thought of it that way. And that means they've started to shift. They've started to actually understand that they are not the problem. In fact, the problem isn't the problem. What the problem is a symptom. That's all it is. People come to me with symptoms. And it's symptoms of being off their path. So they are investing in who they're not. And they're rehearsing who they're not, wondering why they're getting good at who they're not. So we've got to learn to rehearse who we are. And to do that, we've got to work in. So I always, on the first session, and onwards from that actually, I give people a 15 to 20 minute recording, meditation fundamentally, that tunes them in, back in, allows them to let go of thinking, and then come to a place where they become aware that they're not thinking, and they become aware of the awareness. And that really is the beginning of a tuning out of thought into what I would call their pace, nature's pace.
And that's why you recommended to me to get back out hiking, get back out in the forest.
Get into nature.
Yeah.
That's why I throw myself into rivers. There's nothing better than chucking yourself into nature. So yeah, get out there and go and swim in a river. Go and get on your bike and hike. Go and camp. Go and just hang around nature. And we all know it. You go and walk down the beach. We all know it. We can feel it. And there's several reasons why. One reason is, yes, you're now surrounded by nature's pace. So your pace begins to harmonise with it. But also, what you've done when you start hanging around nature, particularly the beach or particularly places where you've got a good vision, is that you're stretching your senses. Our senses, our 5 senses, are built in bubbles. And because I call us the box people, I always say that if somebody beamed down from outer space to look at us, and they went back and they had to do a report on us, they'll say, well, they've become the box people. What do you mean? Well, they live in boxes. They eat out of boxes. They watch the box. They work on boxes. They sleep in boxes. They drive metal boxes to work in boxes. They're getting a box that goes up into this box where my God, they're the box people. And basically what we've done, we've become shut off. Because of our rooms, because of our buildings, we've become shut off from nature. Now, this by itself will stress us, just by itself. Doesn't matter, you can be surrounded by bliss around you, stuff that you want, and there's no danger. You will start to become stressed. We call it cabin fever. Because once I start stifling my senses, I will start to become stressed. So what are the senses? The 5 senses are built in bubbles. So if you go and walk along a beach, the first sense, sight, is built to see to the horizon. So, great. Live in a box, in a room, suddenly that's limited. The next sense, hearing, not as far as sight, but still quite a long way. Quite a big bubble. The next one, smell, not as far as hearing, but still the smells around. Then touch. Don't want to knock the microphone. But then touch. There's my touch bubble. And then taste. And taste is my central. So there's the 5 bubbles that are meant to be stretched. So when you get out on your bike and you get on hiking and you hang around nature, you are now de-stressing yourself as well as starting to harmonise with nature's pace.
These things that you would advise anyone that are going through any...
Absolutely.
Just regardless if they even have any issues in their life, you should be doing this anyway. Yeah,
well, the issues in your life are symptoms. They're just symptoms. I've learnt this along the line quite quickly. People bring me this stuff and they're telling me all this stuff and they've made it so important. And I mark it, I write down so I know where their importance is. But to me, they are just symptoms. So I don't go into that a lot unless we get stuck, because their symptoms are being detached from who they are. So I get them to basically to work out. So bring in some form of cardio so you can clear your system of stress hormones. So some form of 15, 20 minutes a day of getting out of breath starts clearing the system of your stress hormones. And then work in with the meditation. Go in, connect, so we can start the process of balancing our what I call our 5 bodies of physical body, energy body, mental emotional body, wisdom body, into your bliss body. And if you do that, then suddenly all that stuff that you thought was so important, suddenly you get context back and it becomes less important and it's not taking from you anymore.
For people that would listen to you talking about these 5 different bodies and say, it's a lot of rubbish, how would you tell them to, how would they experience their 5 different bodies?
I'd say, do you know your physical body? Okay, everyone will agree with that one. That's fine. Okay. Do you sometimes feel on a high? Yeah, that's a high vibration. That's your energy body. Or do you sometimes feel low? That's your low vibration. That's your energy body. Had I known I was going to talk about this, I would have bought. I've got a little thing that I can show the energy and how it moves around, and I can move it to each side and it'll go the other way because my energy flows to my body.
Next time.
So maybe next time I'll bring that. I'll bring that and show you. So you can see the energy body, but we can feel it. We can feel the energy body. You go and do some working out. How do you feel afterwards? Oh, I feel great. Yeah, because what you've done is you've activated your energy body. You've taken it up in the hierarchy. You've taken it up to a higher vibration. So we've got an energy body. Okay, mental, emotional body. Well, we all know that because, I'm stressed. I'm overthinking. My old stuff, the old stuff, as if the bloody past is real. It doesn't exist. As if the future is real. I'm nervous. It doesn't exist. You'll never find anyone that can experience 5 seconds time. You'll never find anyone that can experience 5 seconds ago. They don't exist. They're just made up stories of thinking. So our mental emotional body and our thinking will get us caught in this past future crap. And in doing so, it clog up the mental emotional body. So the purpose of the understanding of the mental emotional body is how to clear it. Meditation will start doing that. Then we start to move into the next body, which is the 4th body. That's the wisdom body. We might know it in the West as the intuitive body. We all know, I should have followed my gut feeling, intuition. We all know it. That's the wisdom body. And if you align those bodies, so if you have your physical body aligned up with your energy body, there's a clearing in your mental and emotional body. You will start to access your wisdom body. So you'll start to act more intuitively. And then this will give you access to your bliss body. And bliss body is just happy for being happy. Babies, why do they keep giggling and laughing? That's because they're happy for being happy. Why are the birds singing at stupid o'clock in the morning? We call it the morning chorus. What's that about? It's birds happy for being happy. That's the bliss body. So we can all access it.
I think I've accessed the bliss body, disregarding when I was a baby and a child, once in recent time, which was actually during coronavirus when we were in lockdown, because I didn't have any excuse to not work on myself physically. So I was going out for runs every day. I was eating healthy because it wasn't like I could just pop down the shop and buy a load of junk food. I'd have to queue up for half an hour, 40 minutes.
So there's your physical body being looked after.
I was happy with my physical body.
Good.
So I felt confident in myself.
Yep. So your mental emotional body was clearer.
And it just made me appreciate the freedom that I probably won't get this much of again until I become, I don't know, financially free. Or it was the way I described it was like the last 6 weeks holiday that I could have, that because it just felt like that, and that was the happiest I've been in a long time. Right. And it seemed like they all lined up.
Well, it did line up, and what you did is you put the work in to create that level of harmony. You don't, and the thing about lockdown is that you were able to do it over a period of time. The object is how to bring a piece of that into each day, which you can do. But you have to make the time. You won't find it. It's pointless trying to find the time because thinking will fill it with everything. You've got to make the time. Make the time for the most important person you're ever going to know. You've got to make the time for the most influential person in your life. And you've got to make time for the person that whatever happens, you're going to spend the rest of your life with as a relationship. You. And you did that. But we've got to learn how to do that daily. Particularly in our culture, because it's so intense. From the minute people wake up stressed, the alarm goes off. No, that's straight away going into stress one. Then they press the snooze button. It's the worst thing you can do, because if you press the snooze button, you drop into a deeper state of a trance state, really, and it goes off again. And so we wake up traumatizing ourselves, and from that moment on, tick-tock time, as though time is real, we keep ourselves running around to time, and we don't make time for ourselves. We don't stop. Again, look at nature. I'm always using nature as my template. Look at nature. Nature will always move back into stillness. A bird will sing and then stop. It will fly and then stop. Squirrels will jump around the trees and stop. Deers will run around the forest and stop. If you've got any pets, they'll do stuff and then they'll sleep. They'll stop. They'll keep moving back into stillness. We have to do the same. We've got to move back into stillness.
What point in your life did you start your journey to get to this point now?
I've got a view that this cannot be proved. So this is a view of mine that doesn't come with evidence. Well, the evidential from my point of view is that working with clients, it becomes obvious. My view is we come into this life to learn. To me, that's how we evolve. And the whole universe is about evolution. So I came in with a stutter that I stuttered all through my childhood, according to my mum, from the minute I learned to talk. So it didn't just suddenly, it was there all the time. From the minute I learned to talk, all the way through my childhood, all through my adolescence, onwards into my adult life. I also believe that we choose our parents so that we can learn. We surround ourselves with the teachers that can teach us. It doesn't mean they're going to teach us always through good ways. Sometimes they teach us because they're getting it wrong, and we'll have to experience.
You have to draw the lessons out.
You've got to draw the lessons out from what it is. So my dad was a journalist, and my mum worked with. She worked with learning difficulty, adults and children, and then she worked with gypsies as well. So she had quite a challenging job working that way. So my dad was the written word, my mum was more sort of the spoken word, and those two things I'm passionate about in my life. And then there was me stuttering, not at school people used to giggle because I got stuck on words, and I had to learn how to overcome that in order to do what I'm passionate about, which is commonly called the talking cures, but to be able to teach and to be able to coach. Teaching I was always interested in, so I was a musician, so I used to play the bass guitar and sort of teach that as well. I was a professional musician back in the 80s. It fascinated me because we were managed by quite a big manager, a man called John Salter. So we were managed by the manager of Thin Lizzy and Ultravox, so two quite big bands. We were mixing with that bunch. And what fascinated me is how these people who were incredibly famous and incredibly good, they could be quite destructive in their life, to the point that sadly Phil Lynott from Lizzy, he died while we were being managed by John Salter because of drink, drugs, this sort of thing. And that fascinated me. How could these people that have everything get so destructive in their life? So that was the fascination that in my sort of mid-20s started to take me into this field where I could understand that, learn it, and then onwards into my 30s, teach that. So that's what sort of led me that way. I've had my own life experiences. So yeah, I've had when I was in my teens, my family broke up, and I saw what that did, and I felt what that did. When I was 20, my dad died in front of me, and that was incredibly traumatic, and felt what that did. I've been in a marriage that was they went off with someone, and I felt that. So I've definitely felt what it feels like when things around you are there to teach you through pain and difficulty, and it's allowed me to make sense of what it's about, really. And that's what I did in my 30s, 40s. Then through my 20s, 30s, 40s, it was more about Buddhism. Then through my 40s and 50s, and now my 60s, it's more about yoga. The Buddha was a yogi, so it's all the same stuff, really.
Did you find it sort of a natural pathway from being almost like this free spirit to begin with, just to get into music yourself, to then go in a different route and then engross yourself in the Buddhist side of things, and then on to teaching?
A natural pathway, yeah, I suppose it was. It was just why I went into music. Why we were professional is because I left Southampton and went up to London. Staying in Southampton back in the 80s, you wouldn't have made a career out of music. So I believed in myself enough by that point to say, what, get up, off you go. If you want to make it happen, go out there and make it happen. So that's my mindset that I was managed to, and it did happen. We did all the things we wanted to do. That on tour bus and television stuff and magazine stuff and this sort of stuff. So I achieved what I wanted to achieve with that, and so that mindset stuck with me afterwards. Whereby, okay, I've come back now. Now let's find what I love doing and do more of that. So the teaching side it's a big part for me. In Buddhism, they'll call it a bodhisattva. Is that someone who chooses to stay behind to teach, and that's always rung true with me from my 20s onwards. That sort of sense of wanting to enable that gives me my life's calling.
Did you find fulfillment when you were in the music industry?
Yes, as in I loved what I did and we did it well, and a nice bunch. I'm still in touch with some of them actually. The singer's still in the band now. He tours under TheWSP. He's
TheWSP.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's actually really good. And he's actually got a lot of Mark Bolan's stuff. He's actually friends with Mark Bolan's family and all this sort of stuff. He's the dude, but he's great. But he's still doing it now, which is phenomenal because I stopped that professionally. I stopped back in 1988, but he's still doing it, which is amazing. So fulfillment, yes. 4.5 years of that was fantastic. Absolutely taught me a lot. It's brilliant. And I suppose the way I look at it is it did give me exposure to what tweaked my interest about human behaviour. Definitely gave me exposure to that.
I suppose you're being exposed to some of the most extreme ends of human behaviour in those environments.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, and you're surrounded by potentially very destructive things. 1980s London. Yeah, it was pretty full on.
Yeah. Do you bring much of that into how you communicate and teach with the people that you are with now?
As in performance, I suppose I do. I like performing. So really, as a teacher, I suppose it's a performance. I'm able to express what I love, and I love when I'm challenged. Just people will bring me stuff that they cannot make sense of, and so it's a real challenge to be able to say, okay. And even if I can make sense of it relatively easily, the challenge is how to get them to learn what it's about, so they can start seeing this isn't a problem. This is actually a signpost. This is a symptom. So let's get rid of the problem. Let's understand it's a symptom and then get to changing. How do I change the symptom? By changing how you relate to it. Nothing out there in the outside world. This is a big statement that thinking doesn't like. Nothing out there in the outside world has any meaning except the meaning you put on it. And the meaning you put on something creates a feeling, and the feeling creates an experience, and the experience will back up the meaning you put on it. So fundamentally, our life's philosophy is a self-fulfilling prophecy because of that. So it is important to understand what your life's philosophy is.
So I'm guessing you would have been asked this question before. What is the meaning of life? Would your answer be is what you put to it?
No.
No?
The meaning of life is a life of meaning.
Okay.
The purpose of life is a life of purpose. It's a mirror. Fundamentally, I can't emphasize enough. We live in a 360-degree wraparound four-dimensional mirror. So if you want meaning in your life, bring it. If you want fun in your life, bring it. If you want love in your life, bring it.
I suppose this brings me back to the second time I saw you, which I don't know if you remember, was when I was working at a construction company, and an experience I had where I was going through my training syllabus, and there was a section called the winning formula, which was essentially what the process they go through from bidding for a job to winning and securing the job. And I had to learn it, and the HR manager asked me if I'd learnt it yet or been taught it, and I said no. And she said what would be a good idea is to email the CEO, because he's the one that made it, and ask him to teach it to you. And so I thought, yeah, okay, why not? I was always up for doing stuff like that, so I did. And I got an email back saying, cheers to your email. 2 weeks' time, I'd like you to present to me what the winning formula is. So, okay, all right. So I went away, did the research, which I could only regather from the other directors in the company. Went upstairs to the boardroom, had about 3 directors sat around. The CEO came in. We didn't get off to a good start because one of the directors told me to make a joke about him being late. I don't know if you've seen the movie Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah. Reminds me a lot of... Well, he told the HR lady, have you seen the movie? That's what I'm like. So I made the joke of, as he walked in, I went, and that's the end of the presentation. Which I thought was quite funny. The director thought it was quite funny. But unfortunately, he wasn't in the best of moods that day. So we didn't get off to a good start. Went through and used examples of why we won jobs using the winning formula, and the jobs we lost where we stepped off the path of the winning formula. And it was on the jobs that we lost that he started grilling me. And I didn't realise this until probably like halfway through the grilling and afterwards, that he didn't really like one of the directors, and this was the director that told me why we lost that job, and they were at like a crossroad on why that job was lost. And so that started like a chain reaction of grilling me on everything I said.
Great.
And so I thought, well, I can live with this. I've fucked it up, and just that is what it is. And then the presentation came to an end. He got up and said, "Well done, Brandon. I'm really impressed. I like listening to that," and just walked off. And for me, that was just a complete mindfuck, because one moment I'm pissed off at myself because I thought I'd royally fucked it up. And then the next minute he tells me that I did really good and he's impressed. And that made me realise that everything I do, I only got... I don't know if I can even call it satisfaction now, because I've experienced what real satisfaction and fulfilment was, but I'd only get like my motivation to do things from the praise that I receive from the person telling me to do it. And that that broke down my entire structure on how I live my life, because I'd realised that is literally how I've done everything. Like, I play football and I scored a goal, I'd look back at my dad and see if he was impressed or happy with what I did. I finished the test first in school because the teacher would be impressed that I'd finished the test first. Everything I'd done, I'd realised that it was just because I thought that's what other people wanted of me. And it wasn't until that we started working from home during COVID, I thought I have to build a desk. So I thought, I'm not going to buy one. I'm just going to get a door and I'm going to build a desk out of it. So I went on Facebook, found a door, cut it down, sanded it down, varnished it, bought some legs, screwed them together. And I stood back and looked at this desk, which took me about an hour to make. And I thought, this is the first time that I've actually felt fulfilled in doing something. And it's just making this pesky little desk. All I had to do was go spend £20 on Facebook, £5 for the legs, and I've made something that I've got more fulfillment out of than the hours I've spent trying to finish this work on time to the highest standard for my employer, and then any of that. And that was really the breakthrough moment for me, which made me realise I need to cut back on all my vices in the real life. So I felt like I was going down the rabbit hole of spending money because I liked buying things, and then that runs out, so I need to buy another thing, but the next thing needs to be bigger so I get that same feeling, and so on and so on. I needed to get away from feeling like I needed like the nice clothes and the nice car, and so that was me starting to dial back my life to allow me to try and pursue something that I did actually get proper fulfillment out of. And here we are now talking about how we see the world and how being fulfilled in what you do and putting out is what you get back. I mean, it's almost full circle for me. I'm sure that relates to chakras as well, being full circle. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is. It's the thing to do is to keep it simple. The difficulty is our thinking mind is always needing approval. Remember, control, approval, and security. That's the three needs of the thinking mind. So it's always trying to look for those things. So if my attention, so here's my thinking mind, here's my pace, me, the individual, the spark, higher self, soul, whatever you want to call it, and there's a halfway mark. And as long as I can keep myself pace side of halfway, I'm then giving to my life, so I can build something creative and it feels good. Once I start to get thinking side of halfway, I start looking around for approval. What do other people think? Am I able to control the situation? Am I safe and secure? So the object is to keep us what I would call pace side of halfway. And again, how do you do that? Well, again, we come back to the process of yoga, process of meditation, how to align the bodies. That will keep us pace side of halfway. So then we can, what you did there was you found something that you were interested and wanted to do, and then created it. Didn't do it because of anyone else or for anyone. You just did it for you, and you brought it to your life. Great, that's what it's about. And just keep doing that. Keep doing what you enjoy, and keep as much as you can giving to your life. And then the other thing that thinking won't do, thinking will not bring appreciation, gratitude, or compliment. It's too busy looking for the problem. So we have to bring gratitude, and we have to bring appreciation, and we have to bring compliment to our life, because thinking won't.
I'd like to talk about something you mentioned at the start, which was the prevalence of ADD and ADHD in our world today. Now, I've heard two different theories on this. I've heard that it's only hereditary. I've heard that side of it, which from what I've seen is sort of like the common thesis that medical professionals talk about. And I've also seen the side that ADHD is a coping mechanism with your childhood experiences. So if you lived in a house where there's a lot of shouting, you learn to ignore the things going on around you. What are your views on ADHD? Because it's something that I hear so many people talk about now. It's something that actually I'm sort of thinking, do I have it? And it's sort of it makes me think back to how I have been through my whole life, and it's something that I've consciously avoided saying that I have, because I don't want to put myself
in a label
and then start to feel the label.
Good. Yeah.
But the past few months for me, from an experience that I had, has made it quite difficult to ignore that side. I'm interested to see what you think about and what the cause is, and how you can get away from it if there is a way.
Yeah, there is. So, on the hereditary front, it is a big thing that's often discussed in the psychological world about nature and nurture. So, nature is what's hereditary, nurture is what's learnt. And there's different schools of theory about, we are 20% nature and 80% nurture, or some people say we're 20% nurture and 80% nature. My view is that let's go in for 50-50. So we're going to come in with stuff that is going to be hereditary, and then we're going to be experiencing stuff and learning it. And that's the skill, that's why we're here. Because with our learnt stuff, we can change our DNA. This has only been sort of realised in my own generation. When we did the genome project and we started to look at DNA, we started to realise that we can change our DNA in our lifetime. And that makes perfect sense, because that's how we evolve in our lifetime. So let's go 50-50. So yeah, there may be a predominance within a family or whatever of the ADD or the ADHD process of it being able to, what I would call, be shattered and scattered with your attention. Now the thinking mind, everyone's thinking mind, is shattered and scattered. 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. It's pretty shattered and scattered. And if it's got your attention, it'll jump round. It'll jump round all the time, constantly. Now, because we have allowed our thinking mind to create our outer environment, so, in my lifetime, this world has changed quite drastically in a very short space of time, really. And we are too overstimulated because of what the thinking mind's created. We're not meant to be on call all the time. People aren't meant to know where we are. I'm meant to be able to be somewhere and no one knows that I'm there, and I'm not beholden to anyone, and I'm meant to be able to go quiet in my life. But thinking stops all this. These aren't normal things. Someone's either phoning you or texting you or tracking you or all this sort of stuff. It's not healthy. And because thinking shatters and scatters our attention, and it's created this environment now that we live in, that we've normalised, where we are shattered and scattered. We've trained, so thinking mind does this anyway, and now we have trained it as well. In social media, I've seen it happen massively since about 2006. This sort of whole process of people with shattered and scattered attention has gone up. So on the learnt front, we are buying into and normalising the shattering and scattering of our attention. And so because of that, our children grow up with this normalised. So now cartoons now, it's, it's just too much. It is too much. So the muscle that shatters and scatters attention, which is strong anyway, because it's the thinking muscle, becomes even stronger. The muscle that holds our attention, one-pointed attention, is not being exercised at all. People now really struggle with holding one-pointed attention. And it needs to be exercised like any muscle. So to me, it's an imbalance of an over-stimulated mind created by an overstimulated environment. That's the main thing. There is an element, obviously, of the nature, but the main problem is the fact that our environment is just too stimulating, too much, constantly. 24-hour television, 24-hour radio, 24-hour shops, 24-hour work, 24-hour gyms, 24-hour everything. Madness.
Just seems to me like it's going to get exponentially worse.
I'm afraid it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Mm.
So I'm afraid so. I wish I would say differently, but yeah, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better if you let it. If you learn that I can control my environment, I can learn these skills that allows me to learn one point of attention, to understand my intuitive body and to touch my bliss body. I can make time. I can boundary my life in a way that it works, for me, and because it works for me, then I can take that working to others. Great, that's the name of the game.
So is the meditation how you train that single focus?
Meditation is one of the most effective ways of training single focus attention. Also, you're turning in of your attention. Coming into the breath is another way of doing it. That coupled with breath work. So a lot of yoga is breath work. There's a lot of different types of breath work, which actually is becoming more widely known these days, which is good, because that helps with the mind as well. But yes, meditation, one point of attention, is important. If you're passionate about something and you can just lose yourself in it with your attention, that's also exercising the muscle of one point of attention.
Okay. I asked the people that follow me on Instagram to send in any questions if they do have so for yourself, if they're going through something, or if they just feel like they don't really get a chance to speak to someone with your mindset and your accolades to just provide an answer. Now, I did have a few responses. One was, what would be your advice to someone that struggles getting motivated and how would you encourage a healthy thinking mind?
Right. Again, clients come to me with this quite a lot. What they're missing is structure and discipline. What I would recommend is to get up early. I'd say to get up at 6. I would recommend some form of cardio, or to start learning real yoga, and I'd recommend cold water training. So I'd recommend them getting into cold showers as a daily basis. Thinking will hate that. Thinking fucking hates it beyond belief. That's the point. I want you to do more of what your thinking doesn't want to do. It's the thinking that's created the demotivation. Thinking looks for the path of least resistance. And the problem is we've created a culture where we can just, I can wake up in the morning, I can order my food on bed, I can work in bed, I can find out the news in bed, I can do anything just from a laptop. And so we've made it too easy. Get up, get active, get out, structure and discipline first, I would say. So again, if someone comes to me with this, I make sure we agree on a way they're going to work out, some form of cardio work, and the way they're going to work in. And that's the recording that's personalised that they can then go in for. Then I'd say work with that, and then in a month's time we'll visit the space and see where you are, and then you can see what is changing, what isn't changing, and then they start to become more connected. So then it comes out what they want to do a bit more. Right, then you can work it. But definitely, how you start your day is important. I was calling it which way you point the vehicle. So if I want to get to Bournemouth, it's pointless pointing my vehicle towards Portsmouth.
Sure. Okay. No, brilliant. Thanks for that one. Another question was, do you have any thoughts on the use of psychedelic drugs in mental health?
Yeah, I think a lot of research being done for it now. Really good, because it expands our thinking process so that we're not limited by our thought process. And it does start to show us that there is a much greater intelligence out there than we can imagine. So the research on it, I think, is great, and I'm tracking it and seeing where people are with it. Good.
What do you think makes it better to incorporate it with something like that, with something to do with your mental health? Is it that it expands your thoughts to a place that you would never reach?
Yeah.
On them.
Yeah. You start to realise there is something more outside thinking than just your thinking. Thinking wants to possess. Thinking's needy and thinking's greedy. So it wants to possess things and wants to possess you. So it doesn't want you to go past it. which is why with meditation, why people struggle with meditation, they start coming away from thinking, and then thinking comes and gets them, and they sort of, okay, yeah, and they learn, they come away again, and it gets them. Oh, I can't do meditation. No, you can. You've just got to learn to be patient as thinking comes. Just accept it, label it, just watch it, and then it'll disappear, and then come back. So with psychedelic work, it takes you outside of the thinking's limitations. So you start to realise, oh, there's something else there. Yeah, there is.
Have you had any experiences in your life that you had to almost go into the knowledge that you have now, or try and find the knowledge you have now to pull you out of a dark place? I know you mentioned a few things.
Yeah, certainly. And I think it's very important that I walk my talk. So yeah, I'm just the same as anyone else. So I will have experiences that will challenge me. And I will find sometimes my thinking going a certain way, because the human thinking mind now does that. So I make sure that I utilise what I do. I still get up and I do my yoga at 6 o'clock in the morning. My yoga exists, it incorporates the 8 steps of yoga. So there's meditation in there too. I will go and cold shower. I will go and chuck myself in the rivers and do stuff like that, just to make sure that I'm walking my talk, so that I know this works. There's no two ways about this. So whatever anyone brings me, once we can understand the symptom that it is, which is quite simple now these days, then I can say, right, this is what we're going to do and this will work.
What would you say to someone that, I struggle a way to really put this, except bluntly, is so far into like a depressive state that they feel like they can't even get out of bed, they can't even talk to someone about how they feel? How would you advise someone to even get back onto the right path?
First and foremost, talking is very important. While they're not talking about it, the inner dialogue is just going around in circles completely. So I would say to them, right, start writing it down. Number one, that's a way of getting it out. Get a journal. Don't have to show it to anyone. Just write it down. Write down. It doesn't matter what it is. Don't judge it. Don't edit it. Just write it. Doesn't matter how dark and shit it is. Just write it. Now we're starting to become objective to it. We're getting it out. I would say find someone that you can talk to. Most people do have someone they can do, or seek a professional that is recommended to you is probably the best way, so that you can talk to them. All that a professional will do is not get lost in the minutiae of what's going on, and will not judge, because people who are that lost are very self-judgmental. They're judging themselves really harsh, and they've got to learn to lighten them up a little bit. It's about getting the glimpses of light in. And I would say to them, right, I just it doesn't cost anything. Take up running, break the stress. So I create stress, it creates stress hormones. Stress hormones make me stressed, create stress hormones. Break the cycle. So go and get some cardio, burn it off. Then you can start. So bit by bit, it's a step road back. See, in life, we are either in our pace, present, now, and there is no problem. Nope. I am in control. Yep. There's nothing to disapprove of being me. Nope. I'm safe and secure. Yep. So all my needs are met at this moment. There is only this moment. There is no other moment. Hence, no one's experienced 5 seconds time, and no one's can experience 5 seconds ago, because it doesn't exist. So that's my pace. In life, we are either on our path, in our pace, or various degrees of detachment from it. If we're a bit detached, we might be a bit edgy, then it might start to go into anxiety. It might go into what we call GADs, a generalized anxiety disorder. Then it might go into obsessive thinking, or even addictive stuff, compulsive stuff, self-harm. As I get further and further away, it gets darker and darker, and then we start going into suicidal tendencies. All they are different degrees of detachment from who I am. So all we got to do is, rather than go this way, find what can get me to face this way. Face my vehicle the right way. Again. So if I got up in the morning at 6 o'clock, if I did some cardio, if I started to learn some breath work, if I did some cold shower work, now I'm facing the right way. Now when I move, starts moving the right way. Just simply put, it's only about the direction we're going in. And we can do things on a daily basis to maintain the direction, so that it allows me to be more me, to be able to understand my life and create my life how I want to. We've all got the capacity to do that, because it's what we're here for. We're here to learn. We're here to express who we are. There is only one of us. And the reason that there's only one of you is that it's your job to express it.
This next question, I had a few people ask the same one. And it's, what would you say to a parent that doesn't understand mental health issues, or doesn't understand that your mental health can be effect on you yourself? It actually is a real health issue. What would you say to them, those parents, to try and just understand what either their niece, their nephew, their son, their daughter are going through?
I'll ask them whether they ever behaved in a way that wasn't very constructive. Have they ever been angry and lashed out? And then obviously answer, well, yeah, right. Is that what you want to do? No. So you didn't want to do it, yet you did it anyway. Yeah, right. So a mental health process is that as a constant. So I'm actually doing things that I don't want to do. I'm thinking things I don't want to think. I'm feeling things that I don't want to feel. But I'm not doing it on purpose. In the same way as when you were in that anger that you were in, you weren't purposely trying to hurt someone or purposely trying to wreck something. You were just in a process of reacting. So I'll try and bring it back to them so that they can realise, oh, yeah, but then I got out of it. Yeah, so it's not a mental health problem for you. But if you get stuck in that, if you're just reacting to your life, feeling stuck, helpless and hopeless, if that's a constant, then that is a mental health problem. And basically it means that we've got a detachment from who you are. And so we've got to just switch it and get us back.
Like that answer. I like that one. I've got one final question for you. I'm not sure if you get asked this very often, but how is Mike Lever?
Very good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. He's present. He's excited. He's passionate. Loves life. Walks his talk, which is very important. One of the things that disappointed me when I became a psychotherapist is I won't mention the professional. I was a member of the professional body, one of the big professional bodies for quite a few years, and going to some of their meetings, it's become very obvious that people in my profession often don't walk their talk. They talk their talk, they don't walk it. And to me, that's not what it's about. You know, you've got to have experience, you've got to understand it, you've got to feel it, and you've got to apply it to your life. So yeah, good. Do I get down? Sometimes. What do I do with it? Shake myself up, give myself a good talking to, align my circles, play. It's a good one. It's meant to be playful. I'm always telling people to stop taking it so fucking seriously. But it is serious. No. It's no. The problem is you've made it too serious. You've lost yourself in it. Where's the fun? Where's the play? You've got to bring it back.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's a perfect place to end on. I'm glad that you're doing good and you're enjoying your life. Give us the website and the Facebook, anything you want to put, we'll have it in the description as well, where people can find you.
Yeah. So my website to find out is www.advancedcounselling. So that's advanced counselling, all one word, .co.uk. www.advancedcounselling.co.uk. Yep. And my Facebook is Mike Lever Real Yoga. So that's my Facebook, if you want to have a look at that.
Brilliant.
If you've got any questions that you forward to Brandon, then I'm happy to answer.
One thing to mention as well, you do the is it the private yoga sessions with people? Is that something you offer, private yoga sessions on like a call? Is that
not one-to-ones generally? No, I generally do group.
More of a group, okay.
But my groups are filmed as well, so people can access it via live stream video, and then it's kept on video, so they can then refer back to it. So I do a Monday evening session and an early Friday, sort of a 5:40 a.m. Friday morning session, and people can either join in live or they can catch it and as a video and then work through it. But it is the 8 steps of yoga. In my yoga, I make sure we include, because it's all about balance. So we balance in all the breath work and the mind work and the body work, and real yoga.
Brilliant. Well, I'll put links for everything in the description.
Lovely.
Thank you for your time, Mike.
Well, thank you, Brandon. Thank you. That's my first podcast, so there you go.
There we go.
Well, you brought me screaming into the 21st century.
Yeah. Nice one. Well, again, thank you for your time, and hope you all have a good evening.
Yep, good. Thanks a lot.